Deep in the dense jungles of Madagascar, where darkness was so thick that even the moonlight seemed powerless, there lived a creature that haunted the villagers' nightmares, Duskfang, the ruler of the night, a mysterious being that made hearts freeze with fear. Its slender, shadowy body, its glowing eyes that burned like torches in the dark, and most terrifying of all, its long skeletal finger, which looked like death itself, reaching out. Villagers believed that anyone who locked eyes with Duskfang would be cursed. Just the mention of its name was enough to send chills down their spines, and if someone ever encountered it, they either ran for their lives or met a terrible fate. But the truth about Duskfang was something no one cared to understand. The jungle was his home, the treetops his fortress. Night after night, he searched for hidden things in the trees, using his eerie, elongated finger to pull out insects lurking beneath the bark. His sharp cries echoed through the silence, piercing the stillness of the night. Villagers mistook this sound for a death omen, further fueling their fear. But Duskfang never sought to harm anyone. He only wanted to live freely in his world, undisturbed. One day, a terrifying rumor spread through the small village near the jungle. People were falling mysteriously ill, crops were withering, and anyone who wandered too close to the trees came back weak and feverish, if they returned at all. The villagers were convinced that this was Duskfang's curse. They whispered that his finger brought sickness and misfortune, but what they didn't know was that a deadly infestation was spreading. Tiny parasites hiding within the trees, eating them from the inside. These creatures were silently destroying the jungle, making the wood toxic. When the villagers used this infected wood, they too became sick, but no one could see the real enemy lurking within. That night, under the thick, suffocating darkness, a young boy named Ethan wandered into the jungle. He was just 10 years old, but his curiosity had led him too far. When he didn't return, the villagers panicked, but none dared enter the jungle to find him. Fear gripped them tighter than love. What if Duskfang got to him first? His mother begged and screamed, but no one would help. Deep in the jungle, Ethan held his breath. He crouched beneath a giant tree, his heart pounding like a war drum. A strange tapping sound reached his ears, soft but deliberate, like someone knocking on wood. Then he saw them. Two glowing eyes, a long bony finger slipping into the bark of a tree, and a shadowy figure moving closer. Ethan wanted to scream, to run, but his body was frozen in pure terror. His pulse thundered in his ears as the monstrous creature stared at him. He thought this was the end, but then something unexpected happened. Duskfang pulled his finger from the tree, revealing a wriggling, grotesque insect latched onto it. In one swift motion, he swallowed it whole. Ethan watched in stunned silence. This wasn't a curse. This was a hunt. For the first time, he saw the truth. Duskfang wasn't bringing death. He was fighting it. But before Ethan could react, his vision blurred. His small body, already weak from fear and exhaustion, could take no more. He collapsed, his consciousness slipping away. The last thing he saw was Duskfang stepping closer. When he woke up, he wasn't in the jungle anymore. He was safe, placed carefully near the village, unharmed, and Duskfang was gone. The moment Ethan returned, his mother clutched him tightly, sobbing with relief. Villagers gathered around, bombarding him with frantic questions. Did you see Duskfang? Did he curse you? Are you sick? But Ethan wasn't afraid anymore. He looked into their frightened faces and told them the truth. Duskfang wasn't a demon. He wasn't a curse. He was the jungle's guardian, fighting an unseen war against the real plague. His long, eerie finger wasn't a weapon. It was a tool, removing the parasites that were killing the trees and spreading disease. But the villagers refused to believe. Fear had ruled their hearts for too long. Instead of gratitude, they chose vengeance. That night, they gathered their weapons. They decided that Duskfang had to die. As they marched into the jungle, Ethan ran ahead, desperate to stop them. But before they could reach their prey, something happened. A foul stench filled the air. The trees around them were dying, their bark peeling away to reveal sickly, rotting wood. The villagers saw, for the first time, the true enemy. And then they saw Duskfang. Perched on a high branch, he was doing what he had always done, hunting. His long fingers slipped into a tree, pulling out another deadly insect. And in that moment, one old man stepped forward and spoke. "This is no curse," he said. "This is a cure." Slowly, understanding dawned. The villagers lowered their weapons. The fear that had blinded them for so long began to fade. They finally saw Duskfang not as a demon but as a protector. Instead of killing him, they chose to learn from him, to understand the jungle rather than fear it. And so the legend of Duskfang changed, no longer a tale of horror but a story of a misunderstood guardian, one who had been fighting for the jungle all along.